There are 5 jetties here in Penang. So the Chew Jetty, the Yeoh Jetty, the Lim Jetty, the Lee Jetty, and I forgot what's the last one. Yeah. So there are 5 jetty to choose from. So obviously my first choice is the Chew Jetty for a very obvious reason. Because I am Chew. So I have to support my own clan first. Wrong. There are altogether 7 Chinese clans jetty and not 5 that I have mentioned earlier. The clan jetties are a cluster of residential neighborhood within the city of Georgetown in the Malaysian state of Penang. Situated within the city central business district, it is now comprises 7 wooden villages lining the coastal road of Whale Key. Let's go in. Each village is owned by residents of a specific Chinese clan: Ong, Lim, Chew, Thean, Lee, Yeoh, and mixed clan. I call these houses floating houses. At first, I find it quite interesting to walk through people's houses and peep into this people's lifestyle. By far, the Chew Jetty has to be the most tourist-friendly jetty amongst the jetty. And it has many souvenir stores. There's even some cafes and some snacks cafeteria, and there are many spots to take pictures. But as I'm getting deeper into this housing neighborhood, I begin to really feel for the dwellers living in this area, whose life is constantly being pried into by tourists coming by the waves. I can really feel for these people. The Clan Jetty area is primarily a residential area, so most of these houses are still occupied by the local themselves. As such, please exercise more respect and consideration when walking past the area and keep the noises down. It is also a good thing that the Chew Jetty has a visiting hours from 9 AM to 9 PM. That is to return some quiet time to the locals there. While I think that the authorities find it hard to administer that rule, as a responsible tourist, let us try to respect the timing. And personally, I do not quite like the thought of these too many souvenir shops that one has to pass through. The shops are typically choked with people stopping by to get their drinks, their food, and t-shirts and fridge magnets as souvenirs. I just feel that this commercialization and crowd it brings really spoil the authenticity of this place. But let's be realistic, these locals also need to earn their livelihood. As for me, I am quite allergic to people's crowd. So there are even times I have to venture out of the main passenger way access into the side path where there are mainly residential areas. I like it when I'm almost reached the end of Chew Jetty. That's the place that I can get to look at the expanse of the sea facing peninsular Malaysia mainland. I especially like the vibes here. So Penang is an island. So this is the mainland Malaysia, which is Butterworth, which is also part of the entire Penang. So Penang is an island and a state. Oh, look at this beautiful houses. And there's a temple right at the end of the jetty. Right. Let's go closer. There are temples built at the end of the wooden boardwalk facing the sea. I believe this temple are used to pray for safety for the fishermen. That's it. It's a little bit smaller than I expected. I expected a bigger scale. At a distance, you can see a Penang bridge connecting the mainland to the Penang Island, which is where we are now. So we are at the Penang Island. And this bridge, at some point in time, used to be the longest bridge in Asia or in the world. Yeah. So currently there are a couple of bridges that span across the sea. I think there are 2 or 3 of such bridges. Yeah. So at different parts of Penang. So the smaller crabs are eliminated. That's pretty much all for Chew Jetty. Time to leave Lee Jetty and go to Hean. After Chew Jetty, I'm proceeding on to the other jetty, the Thean Jetty, which is just probably next to each other. I've reached the entrance to the Thean Jetty. So behind me, that's the way in to the Thean Jetty. Come, follow me. Thean Jetty. It is obviously quieter than the Chew Jetty. The Chew Jetty is very much more established. It is not 100% easy to pinpoint where the Thean Jetty is exactly. Actually, this is the entrance to the Thean Jetty. It's a little bit obscure. I missed it. I went to the other one. The not too prominent signage on the main road isn't going to help me much. So here's the Thean Jetty. So just be prepared to make a mistake or two before one finds the real entrance. The entrance to the Thean Jetty is so much more down to earth as compared to the Chew Jetty. Comparatively, this is quieter. I feel like walking into a real kampung this time around. Thean Jetty somewhat sends a message to me that all clans jetty in Penang used to look like that before mass commercialization sets in. I do not think there is any shops or cafe or homestay here. This is purely 100% residential area. From what you can see, I am doing a one video take from the beginning of the kampung right to when I reach the jetty. As you can see, the length and as well as the area of Thean Jetty is much smaller than the Chew Jetty. And you can see the tide is coming in right now. The tide is inching into the grounds, into the seashore. A short walk takes me all the way from the main road to the waterside. From the Thean Jetty, you can take a look at the Chew Jetty located next door. I love it so much more than I was at the Chew Jetty earlier. Wow. I like Thean Jetty in comparison. One memorable sight is when I crossed this makeshift door, supposedly trying to lock people out of the jetty when the surrounding is dark. Obviously, for safety reason, as you can see that the bridge is not too well prepared and there are holes on the plank. Wow, this is the most Instagrammable jetty. This place is so beyond words for me. I am very touched upon seeing what's going on around me. Instantaneously, I forgot that behind me is the bustling Georgetown city. I am completely wrapped by the sense of serenity, very out of this world. I thought if I'm alone, that feeling will even be more intense.
So beautiful. Oh my god. I can't believe it.
This place transport me to the time that I was at Butterworth Jetty. Totally immersed in a very surreal feeling, surrounded by water 360 degrees back then. It's almost the same feeling that I have in Butterworth. Well, back to the Thean Jetty. The wooden plank over here is probably the longest among the 7 jetties found here.
As usual, I think there's a temple right at the end. So this is the Matu temple.
It protrudes more than 100 meters away from the mainland.
You have to go all the way to the end of the Thean Jetty.
Somewhere at the halfway mark, there is a Mazu temple standing oddly in the middle of the sea.
Serene. Oh my god. Wow.
Just add a dash of red color in a sea of blue. I am a little bit mindful of the dilapidated condition of the wooden structure of the bridge.
That's the end.
And at the same time, the feeling of happiness coming from what I'm seeing from my own very eyes.
This is beyond my expectation. Thean Jetty is easily the most beautiful.
How can I not take an opportunity to sit down and try to upload what I'm seeing into my memory? And by the way, today is National Day of Singapore.
So today is Singapore National Day. So it's time for me to flash my country flag. Happy National Day, Singapore. This cubicle looks vaguely like a toilet. Wow. Look at the sun. Oh, that's the best place to watch sunset.
Moving on to the next jetty is the Lee Jetty. Lee Jetty is shorter than the Chew Jetty. It is quite a clean water village with mainly residents and almost no shops.
So the next jetty that I'm going to cover is the Lee Jetty.
However, it is not that old. It is one of the newest jetty built in the 1960s, as the original Lee Jetty was relocated where the ferry terminal was built. Looking for a new place, they ended up here in this current location.
This has a very consistent decoration. Looks like a Chinese New Year decoration theme. 一帆风顺，二人同心，三阳开泰，四季平安。Oh, so all these are the what do you call that? The Chinese rhyme? Yeah. 五福临门，六六大顺，七星报喜，八面春风。久久康泰，十分愉快，万事皆成，岁岁平安。Yep. So I finished reading all the good greetings. Yeah, I'll call that greetings. And after this, that leads to the jetties.
Among the 7 jetty, it is probably one of the most lit and decorated jetty here. You can see Chinese arches and red lanterns placed along the length of the jetty. I can only imagine what it will look like at night when all the decorations lights are fully lit. I must say, the colors of this place looks very vibrant and cheerful. The end of the wooden jetty extend out to the sea. Lee Jetty is probably the shortest among the clan jetties, therefore has a good view of stilt houses surrounding it. Like you can see the Thean Jetty to the north and the Yeoh Jetty to the south. I like how the houses neatly arranged along the straight wooden jetty. This is somewhat unusual among the stilt houses in Georgetown. Mixed jetty or the new jetty. This is the next jetty that I'm going to. You can say it is an accidental find. As I was walking to the Yeoh Jetty, I find this another new jetty. So what's the surname? That's nothing. So it's a mix. It's a mixed jetty. 蛇 姓氏. It means anything. Oh, since we are here, let's go in and have a look. There is no mixed jetty on my online map as I walk from the Lee Jetty to the Yeoh Jetty. However, I come across a piece of signage on my way to the Yeoh Jetty. And that's how I landed myself within the territory of the new jetty or the mixed jetty. The name of this jetty comes about because the residents living here are made up of various surnames and have different origin as well. The mixed jetty is the only jetty which did not start off with just one clan or surname. It was made up of laborers of different families who work on the shore. So it seems to me that at the end of the pier there is some kind of temple. As the name of the new jetty suggests, it is the most recently built jetty, established around in the 1960s, earning the nickname of the new jetty. So now that's my throne. It is also one of the smallest jetty with 22 houses only. There is no souvenir shops here and almost all the houses are residential. You can say that we are off the tourist trail. Although there are no signages to keep tourists out, most tourists do not visit here anyway. Oh no, the rain again. Oops, rain has come. After all, Penang is in a tropical location and one can expect a scattered shower appear out of nowhere. Without bringing any umbrella with me, the good thing is that I'm able to seek refuge underneath this roof here and wait out for the rain. This is the mixed jetty that I'm seeking refuge. The next jetty that I'm going to, or the fifth one, is the Yeoh Jetty. The Yeoh Jetty is a little bit obscure. Yeah, I almost missed it. I went to the other one. So this is the signage, yeah, which is hanged by some dirty laundry. Okay, so let's go in. After visiting the Chew Jetty, Thean Jetty, Lee Jetty, and the Mixed Jetty, the Yeoh Jetty is a short walk from the mixed or the new jetty, probably less than 100 steps away. Yeoh Jetty is the southernmost jetty you can find along the Chinese clan jetties in Penang. It is built in the late 19th century. The Yeoh Jetty is positioned looking out over the Penang Straits with mainland Malaysia visible from a distance. Where once the jetty was built over the waters, lower tides means the jetty now stands mostly on mud flats. It retains much of the original charm with few modern rebuilds. However, due to its northernmost location and the furthest away from the most commercialized Chew Jetty, most tourists will not make it to this place. Yeoh Jetty thus probably is one of the least visited jetty here. But the best thing about this jetty is that you get to see all the main jetties around you. So that's the Mixed Jetty, which I seek refuge. And then that's the Lee Jetty, that's the Thean Jetty, and behind the Thean Jetty, that's the Chew Jetty. So that's this temple over here, which we have not entered in yet. I am now at the end of the jetty. Every year during the 9th Emperor God Festival, the boat standing off the 9th Emperor God leaves from this pier over here. Being at the end of the jetty cluster, the best thing about Yeoh Jetty is its ability to capture all the jetties in a single photo frame. You can see a temple floating on water if you are standing at the end of the Yeoh Jetty. That is the Guan Yin floating temple, or Hean Thean temple. This temple is dedicated to Guan Yin, the goddess of mercy. Visit here at night to look at the twinkling lights reflecting on the sea itself.
Time to leave this jetty.
However, I still have 2 more jetty to go, so I have to make a dash now. From the southern parts of the Clan Jetty, I retrace the walk back up north, passing by the New Jetty, the Lee Jetty, the Thean Jetty, and the Chew Jetty.
Right, I'm out. This is the last jetty for the day, the Lim Jetty. So there's a big Lim sign here. Lim.
My destination, the Lim Jetty, is less than 100 meters from the Chew Jetty, which I first came from. The Lim Jetty is one of the longest jetty. Was built in the late 19th century. It was damaged during the Japanese occupation in World War II and was rebuilt when the war ended. As the second largest jetty over here after the Chew Jetty, the residents here still maintain its original characteristics and tradition. So, you won't find any shops selling souvenirs and snacks over here, and the Lim Jetty is also referred to as the closest clan jetty to the Penang ferry terminal. The Lim Jetty, as with the rest of the other clan jetties of Penang, are identified as one of the most recommended places to visit in Penang. In fact, the Clan Jetty is one of my must-do things to visit in Penang, apart from the food trip. The Clan Jetty offers a very different sight from the rest of the kampungs in Malaysia. Personally, I have a liking for piers and waters and floating kampungs. All these above likings of mine are able to bundled here at the Clan Jetty. A little bit of history. Each clan jetty or the settlements it represents offer an insight of what life is like in the late 19th century Penang. That is a time when all the precious land around the old city area were already being snapped out by the immigrants before this new wave of new immigrants that found themselves in the late 19th century. The only land available to them are the coastal mangrove mud land, where the clan jetties are currently located. Back then, the living condition of these places are not as good or idyllic as what you see right now. By the late 19th century, houses started to be built on this jetty's ground and have since evolved into a large residential community over the next 100 of years. Each of this jetty is associated to different clans that can be easily be identified by their family surnames. The clans are formed as a way for family members and immigrants who come from the same hometown. That is to keep close to one another in this foreign place. At its peaks in the last century, there are over 20 clans jetty in the area. Only 7 jetty are still standing to this very days and are currently protected by the UNESCO listing since 2008. I am now at the end of the Lim Jetty. Just like the Yeoh Jetty, it is a wonderful place to catch the rest of the Clan Jetty from up north. Other than that, I see that I am also very close to the ferry terminal, which is just next to the Lim Jetty. I must admit that I have not done any research at this juncture, but I know I have to take a ferry from Penang Island to the peninsular mainland Malaysia tomorrow. And also from the news, I know that just a few days ago, the old ferry terminal has moved to a new one. Since I'm here, I thought, why not try my luck if I can go in there? Maybe I can gather some information on the new ferry terminal, which I will be taking a ferry out tomorrow. I now find myself at the old ferry terminal. This jetty is not on my intended plan, because the thing is that I intended to stop at the Lim Jetty. But the thing is, when I was at the Lim Jetty, I realized that
I'm able to come in. I think I saw someone coming in, so I thought, okay, maybe I should come in. This is supposed to be a custom immigration building. Yeah.
The new terminal at the time of my recording has just started operation for a couple of days. That causes a little bit of confusion for me. Other than that, from the old ferry terminal itself, I can see the Lim Jetty and the jetties beyond. More importantly, I come to realize that in between the old ferry terminal and the Lim Jetty lies the Ong Jetty. I would say the Ong Jetty is the most elusive jetty that most people do not even know. In fact, I only come to know about it when I'm doing this video after months living Penang. This tiny strip of land called the Ong Jetty must be the most secretive jetty among all the clan jetty still standing in Penang. I either might have walked past the Ong Jetty while I was doing a walking tour around the Lim Jetty earlier, or it is not really accessible from the map itself. I only managed to take a sneak view from the old ferry terminal. With that, this concludes the Penang Clan Jetty episode. If you like what you see in this episode, please like and share this video. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing to it. Thank you.